This is a look at just some of the non-locals, civilians, innocents and Kashmiri Pandits who've been killed in the last few days in the Kashmir Valley. Each one of them has a name, each one of them has a face, and on India Today you will see both, because they are non-combatants. They are people who are the direct victims of terror, who've been identified, hunted down, targeted and murdered. Vijay Kumar, a bank manager, is only the latest. And there is a special flavor of the season, which is Kashmiri Pandits as well. Let me show you their faces. The Kashmiri Pandits who've been targeted, hunted and murdered in broad daylight. The recent targetings and killings of Kashmiri Pandits has become a fresh glare on how jihadi elements funded by Pakistan have been looking for these people, identifying their addresses, finding out where they work, and then ordering hits on them by local terrorists. That's what's happening. And that's what jihadis versus innocents is really all about. The latest is a young banker from Rajasthan who was working in Kulgam in Jammu and Kashmir. Vijay Kumar is his name. We will never forget his face. He's the latest innocent to be killed by the jihadis. Innocent victims who fell to jihadi murderers, hunted by cowards, desperate to keep the terror pot boiling. Kashmiri Pandit and government employee Rahul Bhatt, singer and dancer Amreen, policeman Saifullah Qadri, Dalit Hindu school teacher Rajani Bala, and now bank employee from Rajasthan Vijay Kumar. On Thursday, Vijay Kumar was gunned down. The chilling images caught on the bank's CCTV cameras, showing a lone terrorist barging into the bank branch in Kulgam, J&K, while Vijay was busy at work on his desk, firing multiple shots at him before fleeing the spot. Vijay received critical gunshot wounds, succumbing to his injuries at a nearby hospital a little later. Vijay Kumar was married just 45 days ago.
370 डालने के बाद सीधे गुवाहाटी आकर बड़े अटैक करते थे, वो तो सारा सरकार ने इस पर पाबंदी लगा दी और कंट्रोल कर दिया। ये उन्होंने नया रास्ता निकाला और वो इसलिए कि दूसरे स्टेट वाले यहाँ बहुत से किडनैप बन जाए, ये प्लानिंग होगी, बाकी तो पता नहीं क्या प्लानिंग है।
The chilling images have sent shivers down the spines of the minority communities and non-local communities in Kashmir. Many from the Kashmiri Pandit community were seen fleeing to escape the terror shadow that is seen to be expanding in the last few weeks and months. In Jammu, the Hindu community vented its anger, seeking protection against the jihadi terror plot. Anger palpable, the outrage visible everywhere.
यही हमारी एग्नी है जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट इसको एड्रेस नहीं कर रही है। ठीक है, यही हमारी एग्नी है। हम उनको वो हमें कहते हैं कि हाँ सेफ एरिया में लेके जाएंगे। सर कश्मीर देयर इज नो सेफ एरिया इन कश्मीर सर।
छोड़ के आना सर, वहाँ पे मरना है क्या? किसके लिए वहाँ पे रुकना है? टोटली अनसेफ है वहाँ पे। हम कमरे से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते हैं, भाग के आना पड़ा हमें वहाँ पे।
फिर से कुलगाम के अंदर राजस्थान के रहने वाले श्रीमान विजय कुमार साहब, जो इलाकाई देहाती बैंक के अंदर मैनेजर थे, उनको निशाना बनाकर पाकिस्तानी कायर आतंकवादियों ने बहुत बड़ा जघन्य अपराध किया है, महापाप किया।
Angry protesters were seen burning Pakistani flags and trampling on them to protest Islamabad's continued support to jihadi killings and forces in Jammu and Kashmir.
ये जो मौतें हैं, हम लोग को बलि का बकरा चढ़ाया जा रहा है और इससे बड़ी लानत और इससे बड़ी ट्रेजेडी कुछ नहीं हो सकती।
The J&K administration had earlier decided to shift migrant employees and those facing terror threats to secure locations by June the 6th. But the administration needs to be asked some very hard questions. How many more deaths in Kashmir? How many more civilians and innocent lives are at stake?
Two targeted killings of the two government employees of minority community in the Kulgam district of South Kashmir has not only exposed the big claims of the Jammu and Kashmir government and security agencies, but in fact increased the worries and fear among the non-Muslims in Kashmir Valley. That is why now many families of the government employees, particularly Kashmiri Pandits, are once again leaving the valley. With Rauf Ahmed, Ashraf Wani for India Today in Srinagar.
But let the terror groups that are responsible for these attacks on innocents in Jammu and Kashmir, including Kashmiri Pandits, non-locals, migrants who've come from the outside to work there, let them know that the security establishment knows who they are. And while we're asking questions of the establishment as well, let's name the terror groups. Who, for instance, killed this latest victim, Vijay Kumar of Rajasthan in Kulgam in Jammu and Kashmir? All of it captured on camera. The Kashmir Freedom Fighters, an outfit that calls itself the Kashmir Freedom Fighters, has taken responsibility. They're threatening to kill non-locals who are settled in the Kashmir Valley. They've issued warnings against demographic change of Kashmir. So obviously their favorite victims are Hindus, Kashmiri Pandits, non-locals and civilians whenever the need arises. They claim that they will not let the resettlement of Kashmiri minorities in Kashmir. So obviously they're talking about the Hindu minority in Kashmir. They're saying we will not allow that to happen. Earlier attacked a bus in Katra as well. So the Kashmiri Freedom Fighter movement, as they call themselves, they're anything but freedom fighters. They're basically terrorists. That's what we're talking about here.